Commissioner Duarte, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. During the meeting, can you mute your microphone if you're not speaking because we can hear background noise in it, even if you're not talking.
Okay.
You should be able to mute and unmute yourself as you need it. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the March 3rd, 2021 Planning Commission meeting. Please note that this meeting is being attended by the Planning Commission and applicants via teleconference. We thank you for your patience as we navigate city business through this new meeting process. For the benefit of the public and as required by the Brown Act, all voting will be by roll call. Planning Secretary Kavanaugh, yes, can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Spathopoulos,
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz,
Here.
Commissioner Montoya,
Present.
Vice Chair Owens,
Here.
and Chair Duarte.
Here. Okay. Now, going on to our agenda here, commissioner announcements. I'll ask any commissioners if you have any announcements, agenda items, requests, or meeting reports. Vice Chair Owens.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind everyone now Tom Brady has 7 Super Bowl rings. Patrick Mahomes failed miserably, as predicted. Broken child. All right. And but thank you for letting me get a chance to report on that.
Thank you, Commissioner Owens. Uh, Commissioner Spatos.
Nothing to mention. Thank
Okay. Commissioner Montoya.
Nothing to report. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. And Commissioner Ortiz.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. I don't have any announcements. Presentations, Community Development Director Schindler. Are there any presentations tonight?
Chair Duarte, no presentations tonight.
Okay. Community Development Director Schindler, are there any City Council actions to report?
Yes, the council took a similar action as the Planning Commission, and it received and filed our general plan annual progress report, which was previously approved by our Planning Commission. And that concludes my update.
Okay, now moving on to public hearings. To public hearing item number 1, PLN-02-00101. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Director Schindler, can you introduce the staff person presenting this item?
Thank you, Chair Duarte. Tonight we have Madeline Welch, our Assistant Planner, to make our presentation.
Right. Good evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. Tonight you're being asked to consider a site plan review for a request to construct a 3-unit multifamily development on property zoned R3 for multifamily residential, located at 10224 Lorena Ave. Here's the current zoning map for this area. The subject site is located and outlined in red. As you can see, it's within an R3 residentially zoned with professional office zoned along Florence Avenue here. I did want to note in the staff report, it is showing these 2 properties as the previous zoning, but they are currently zoned R2. Here's an aerial of the subject site outlined in red. It is currently developed as a single family with a detached garage and a storage structure in the back. And then as you can see, it is across from Lorena are single family residential, and then as well as adjacent to it. And then the rest of the Lorena Avenue is developed as multifamily. Here is an existing street view of the subject site. And part of this scope of work is going to include the demolition of the existing structures on site. So that includes the single family dwelling, the detached garage, the storage structure, and then the pool will be filled in. And then here is a proposed street view of the project. So the project, as I mentioned, will include 3 residential units. Each will have their own 2-car garage. The project will be within 2 buildings. So this front building will comprise of 2 of the units and 2 of the garages. And then the rear unit over here will consist of the 3rd unit with the 3rd garage. And then staff wanted to maintain a neighborhood appearance with this development. So by orienting this front unit to face the street, we felt that that was achieved. And then by adding a walkway here near the sidewalk to enter the front unit, sort of created that appearance as well. And then the architectural style for this project is Spanish architecture. So we worked with the applicant to ensure that that was achieved. We incorporated, well, they're proposing clay tile roof and then clay tube vents to match the roof with some iron window coverings along the smaller windows. And then some pop-outs, which is commonly seen in Spanish architecture, as well as exposed rafter tails here underneath the 2nd story. And then the facade will be a smooth stucco finish. Here are the major development standards for this project. The lot coverage maximum allowed is 50%, and this project is being proposed lower than 40% at 38%. And then the maximum allowed building height for a multifamily development is 35 feet. And the applicant is proposing this construction to be done at maximum height of 25 feet. This also is in compliance and compatibility with the other multifamily developments along this street. All setbacks are being made, the front, side, and rear. And then the parking is in compliance with 6 covered spaces within those garages. And then there will be 2 guest parking spaces that I will show on the next slide. For R3 developments for multifamily, there's a requirement of open space of 200 square feet per dwelling unit. And this project, the applicant is proposing between 224 square feet and 870 square feet. Each unit will have a little bit different size open space. Here is the proposed site plan. So as I mentioned, right here are the 2 guest parking spaces. And then this is that front unit. And then this is the rear unit. Within the common open areas, we wanted to ensure that it was flourished with landscaping. And then also I wanted to point out that they will be adding a new block wall along the side property lines to ensure privacy from the neighboring properties. We also wanted to incorporate pavers ribboned throughout this long driveway to sort of break up the appearance of the driveway. And then here is the landscaping proposed for the site. So bougainvillea is proposed to sort of frame the garage doors. That's commonly seen in Spanish architecture, like a vine sort of landscaping along the sides of the facades. And then to incorporate the tiered landscaping requirement of our zoning code, the ground cover will be Bermuda grass with these purple sage, dwarf bottle brush, trailing lantana, hummingbird sage, and then the dwarf paw all as the shrub, and then the Pacific madrone would be the trees for the landscaping. The project was presented to the Development Review Committee and no departments expressed concern or opposition of the project. However, the fire department did require that the site installs a fire hydrant with approved water supply. And so the applicant will be working with Public Works Department in achieving this with the installation and location of the fire hydrant. And then staff believes that all findings can be made in a positive manner. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions. Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, it wasn't letting me unmute, but it's fine. Okay, thank you for your presentation, Crystal. I'll now take turns asking the commissioners if they have questions for their staff. Commissioner Owens?
No, no questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Ms. Welch.
Commissioner Espatos?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Montoya?
Just one question for Ms. Welch. Forgive me if I missed it in the report, but the back unit, the 3rd unit, from what I understand, is the only way for individuals to get there from the street would be to walk on the driveway. My question, I guess, to be more specific, is it's ADA compliant, right? There's no need to designate a walk path to that back unit. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's a residential unit.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may just add additional clarification, ADA compliance doesn't apply to residential structures such as these, larger multifamily apartment buildings, but this type of development doesn't have ADA compliance requirements.
I see. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you. And no further questions.
Thank you.
Crystal,
Sure,
can I ask a question on that? Sorry, what is it a minimum number of units that makes a building ADA compliant necessary?
Yes, there's a threshold with regard to multifamily, and then it's assigned a certain type class under the building code, and then it would have ADA compliance. So there is a number of units. I apologize, I don't know that number of units, but it is larger multifamily within a building.
Thank you.
Commissioner Spathos, we could send you that information tomorrow. I know it might tickle your curiosity now, but I want to be able to close that loop with you. So we'll email you that tomorrow.
Sure.
And we'll CC the entire commission with the response as well.
Would be good information just to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz?
No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. I have just one question in terms of the design. I know here in the, it was mentioned in the conditions, I think it was 6 and 9, the Spanish style. How ironclad is that in the sense that, construction starts and, maybe the applicant wants to go a different way and style, maybe a couple of shortcuts. How ironclad is this design? Because it looks like a very aesthetic pleasing, design. So I just wanted to ask that question.
Staff, if I may, Chairman, it's very ironclad. It's a steel trap. We take a lot of pride and we put a lot into the design. What staff does is when somebody says, I want a contemporary design, I want a Spanish design, or I want a Tudor design, well, we go through the architectural digest in terms of what that is with all the different elements of the building. And you're right in terms of your sense that the applicant will come back at a later date and say, hey, look, I shared the same goal, but I have these challenges. And unfortunately, we strive for the best design we can get in the community. So we hold firm to what's approved.
Okay, great. Well, thank you again, Ms. Welsh, for your presentation. I have no further questions. Before we begin the public hearing, I'd like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to address the commission. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission regarding the public hearing for item PLN-20-001001 only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. I will now open the public hearing and will start by inviting the applicant to address the commission.
Chair Duarte, we do have one call for public comment. Speaker, please state your name. Your time begins now.
Hello. Good evening. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Please state your name.
My name is Edgar Cortez. I am the designer of the project. I'm here with the owner, Mr. Willie Barrios. Yeah, we're here to, if you have any question about the project. Do you have any questions about the design?
Yes, is there anything else you want to tell us about your project before we get to questions?
No, we are fine. We were working with Madeline about, and she was very helpful about all the with all the details about the project. We are very happy with her about how we handle all this project. And really, I think we have a nice project for the community. We hope we can improve the city.
Okay. I'll ask some of the commissioners if they have any questions. Vice Chair Owens, do you have any questions?
None, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Commissioner Ortiz?
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Montoya?
No additional questions for me. Thank you.
And Commissioner Spatos?
No questions, just a compliment on a really nice design. The drafting that was submitted looks really nice, and I look forward to seeing it in person. That's all.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree with those sentiments. I think staff, Ms. Welsh, and Mr. Cortez and everybody else involved did a great job. It looks really nice. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
There are no calls for public comment.
Secretary Kavanaugh, do we have anyone on the phone?
I'm sorry, there are no calls for public comment.
Okay. Do we have any written public comment on item PLN-20-00101 to be read into the record?
Yes, we do have one email
Okay.
from Elizabeth, resident of Downey, to the Planning Commission. Apologies. To the Planning Commission, the following are my concerns for the 3-unit multi-level construction. Several second-story buildings will be built adjacent to my backyard, directly in the back and side. 1. Noise. My bedrooms are on the side of the construction. I am working remotely and will be working remotely in the future. 2. Airspace. Several multi-unit buildings will reduce my airspace. There are 3 properties that will build 2-level multi-units adjacent to where I live. 3. Backyard sunlight. Block sunlight from my vegetation. 4. Privacy. Residents from the 3 to 2-level multi-unit housing will be able to view to my backyard. No privacy. I am sure if this was occurring in your own backyard, this would be an issue. 5. Fire hazard. There is no fire hydrant nearby. I am also aware of a future construction on a multi-unit housing across the street from 10224 Lorena Avenue. It seems like the City of Downey is permitting additional housing constructions to meet RHNA or AHSC allocation construction quota, instead of aligning itself with the needs, desires, and goals of the community residents. What about the GHG? It was recently reported that 91.6% of Downey workers commute to work in other cities. The 3 to 2 level multi-units will increase the GHG in the surrounding area, which will ultimately affect me and my family, plus Downey residents. I do not agree with the construction of the 3-unit multi-family, 2-story high. Elizabeth. And that's the end of the email.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now close the public hearing.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Before we close it, I did want to highlight that we did have a call in, Daniel Jimenez. He was on hold, but he hung up before we reached the phone conversation. The phone public hearing. This resident is a neighbor. He did call earlier in the day and he spoke with Ms. Welch. He shared similar concerns to those stated in Elizabeth's email with regard to parking in the area and then just again, general development, noise during construction.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, we will now close the public hearing. We can begin deliberation. I'll take turns asking commissioners if you have any comments. Vice Chair Owens.
The only comment I have is it looks like the project is going to replace, something that is certainly dated. And I agree with Commissioner Spatho's comments earlier. Curious to see it live. The rendition looks beautiful. Looks like it'll be a real nice upgrade. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice Chair Owens. Commissioner Ortiz.
Looking at the design, I actually really like it. It's something that will be a great addition to the city of Downey. Parking, they have garage right there, so for each unit, so it's just a good addition to that to fix that problem. So I'm liking to see how it looks.
Thank you. Commissioner Montoya.
I echo everyone's comments. The model design looks great. I think the aesthetics are pleasing. So it'll be good to see it in the community once the construction is completed.
Thank you. Commissioner Spatos. Commissioner Spatos, are you there?
There we go. Yeah, I agree with the rest of the commissioners that, I love the design. It looks like a good quality construction proposal. I can relate with the neighbor in that, there is going to be noise and some airspace will be intruded upon. But from what we have in front of us today, it is zoned R3. It is something that owners are able to do, and it looks like the proposal is set forth in a way to do it and do it nicely. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree with most commissioners here, and I do sympathize with some of the residents there. But I know that a couple years ago we passed almost a similar type project, I think, on Fifth Street, right here, right just east of Paramount Boulevard. And I know there was similar concerns. And then after the build and people see what was built, I think a lot of that maybe questions they had about the project or really just went out the window when they saw kind of how it looked and how it blended into the neighborhood. So similarly, once again, when the director Schindler said this is the ironclad design, this is what it's going to look like, I think that should alleviate all concerns. It's always time there's new construction, people are a little hesitant, but I think this project looks really well, and I think the neighborhood will actually benefit. So I do see that it meets all the findings, and I'm in favor of it. So with that said, I don't know if anybody needs to have any more comments or if there's a motion and a second.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the resolution in front of us in regards to the single family dwelling, being removed and this project being approved to go forward.
Can I second that?
First thing, Secretary Kavanaugh, may you take a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Spathopoulos?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Aye.
Commissioner Montoya?
Aye.
Vice Chair Owens?
Aye.
And Chair Duarte?
Aye.
The motion passes with all 5 in favor to approve PLN-20-00101 for a site plan review.
Okay. Now going on to non-agenda public comments. This portion of the agenda provides an opportunity for the public to address the Planning Commission on items within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission and not listed on the agenda. It is requested but not required that you state your name, address, and subject matter upon which you to speak. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Pursuant to the Brown Act, no discussion or action other than a brief response, referral to city planning staff, or schedule for a subsequent agenda shall be taken by the Planning Commission on any issue brought forth under this section. Before we begin the non-agenda public comment period, I would like to remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker shall have 3 minutes to address the commission on issues that are within the commission's jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to address the Planning Commission on non-agenda public comments only may now call our telephone conference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
Chair Duarte, there are no calls for public comment. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you heard. There are no calls for public comment.
Okay, great. Do we have any written public comment on non-agenda items to be read into the record?
There are no written public comments either.
Okay, great. Thank you. We'll now close the non-agenda public comments. Now going on to the consent calendar. Items in this section will be voted on in a motion unless a commissioner or citizen requests separate actions. Anyone wishing to discuss a consent calendar item shall be recognized by the chairman, state name, address, and agenda item number. Further, any consent calendar items removed from the agenda will be considered by the commission following the public hearing items. Before we begin the consent calendar comment period, I'd like to again remind members of the public participating telephonically that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, even if you're participating telephonically. Each speaker should have 3 minutes to address the commission on consent calendar items. Members of the public wishing to address the planning commission regarding consent calendar items only may now call our teleconference line at 562-299-6622. For those who submitted comments via email, your comments will be read into the record and no further public comment via teleconference will be permitted. Secretary Kavanaugh, may I have the first speaker on the phone?
There are no calls for public comment.
Okay, Secretary Kavanaugh, do we have any written public comment on consent calendar items to be read into the record?
There are no written comments for the consent calendar.
Okay, great. We'll now close the consent calendar public comments. We have approval or minutes on here. Any discussion? Any commissioner want to discuss the approval of the minutes from October 21st, 2020?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, though.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. And I was not present at the meeting, but I subsequently watched the meeting via teleconference. So, Secretary Kavanaugh, would be please take a roll call vote.
Chair, I think we have some abstentions from the new commissioners that didn't attend the meeting.
Yes, I think Commissioner Montoya and Ortiz did not attend the meeting, so they'd be abstaining. Secretary Kavanaugh, so can we, with that in mind, can we take a roll call vote?
Thank you. Commissioner Spadopoulos?
Aye.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Abstain.
Commissioner Montoya?
I abstain.
Vice Chair Owens?
Aye.
And Chair Duarte?
Aye.
And the motion passes to approve the consent calendar with 3 in favor and 2 abstentions.
Okay, going on to other business. Does any commissioner have, at this time, have any other business they would like to discuss? Vice Chair Owens?
I have none, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No more Tom Brady stuff?
Enough said.
Okay. Commissioner Spatos?
No, none. Thank you.
Commissioner Montoya?
Any business to discuss? Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Ortiz?
I actually do have something. I was hoping with the approval of Starbucks, I read some comments, and as a resident, I was actually interested to see if we can get a staff report on the efforts of bringing either a Trader Joe's, Sprouts, or Whole Foods. I don't know if that falls. I can bring that forth to you guys to see if there was any efforts made by our city, if they came, or there was any communications. I heard that there were some communications that started on that, but I was hoping we can get a staff report on that matter.
Sure, Mr. Ortiz. It's a fun item, not something that unfortunately falls within the purview of the Planning Commission. So not something that we craft in a staff report format for the Planning Commission. I can tell you that whoever brings a Trader Joe's into this city is going to get a statue erected in their behalf. Sprouts has indicated interest in coming to Downey. It's just finding a location. So as you drive the city, Sprouts needs a site probably as big as where the grocery outlet is, and you include the Dollar Tree next to it, and that's still probably not enough parking for them, but that's basically what they would need. They've indicated they only want to go north of Firestone, so that just really tightens that circle even more. I personally reach out to the Trader Joe's real estate rep every 60 days, and it's the same story. We say hello, we talk to him, we tell him how much we're interested in the site. He asked if I've created any new parcels that are big enough to welcome them, and unfortunately I don't have the power to go out and bulldoze buildings and create sites for them. So we actively engage Sprouts, Trader Joe's, and other restaurants and retail uses that we've heard of interest to our community. We primarily do that through our economic development division of our community development department, constantly knocking on doors, constantly working with brokers. Similar to Jimmy's on the residential side, his counterparts are on the retail side, and keep that close alliance on a regular basis to try to get tenants in.
So it's interesting. So basically, right now, it's just a matter of one of the matters is space.
Yes, it's always land, and then it comes down to the land deal. In terms of the lease and a new building, a tenant improvement. What they're going to do to an existing building. We went through the same exercise also when the Elephant Bar closed. We have the El Pescador that's there as well. There were probably about 6 different restaurants that were vying for that site. And as Mr. Ortiz knows, that it comes down to pro formas, business plans, financials, in terms of what's the most feasible for the business that's going in, and what's going to be the most profitable for not only the business but the property owner as well. And so you've got that same transaction working over and over again through all the different vacant locations or locations that are seen of interest for any retailer, grocer, or restaurant that is interested in Downey.
Thank you. Okay. Going on to staff member comments. Director Schindler, do you have any staff comments?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the time. I want to give my 10 reasons as to why Tom Brady is not the greatest of all time. Just kidding. Just kidding. I wanted to let folks know that we still have our residential rent payment program open, and that's for folks that have been negatively affected by COVID. So please help us spread the word. We have over $600,000 available to the community. We're currently paying for 1 month's rent. We think that leverage with what's happening at the federal level and state level will help people at least get some rent assistance through these tough times. Also, our next meeting is going to be a presentation on the mansionization study. We believe that you already have the packets. Right now, it's the only item on that agenda, and it's going to be a refresher for Commissioners Spathos, Owens, and Duarte. And it's been some time since we've visited this topic, and it's an important topic. The topic of design in this current item that was presented to you tonight in that residential development was important to you. We don't have design guidelines for single-family homes in our community. So it's a constant fight with everybody that comes to our counter to try to get the best product for our community. What these residential design standards do are put something in place so that we have something to rely on. So when those projects are being done at the staff level, we have a design guideline to drive that, and it improves the quality of development in our community. The last item, also related to housing, is our housing element update. We'd mentioned it before. The email that was read by Mary referenced the regional housing need assessment. People know it as RENA. That is the policy that's driving cities to create more housing in their communities. And so our next community meeting is in the next couple of months. We're crunching all of the housing data right now to see what those appropriate numbers are for our community. I would suggest that you folks follow that because it will be in front of you, first in a presentation type format, and then in a format to pass a resolution and or amend ordinances or introduce new ordinances. So following that, we'll give you a sneak peek in terms of what's coming your way. And that concludes my updates.
Okay, great, thank you. And I just like to say, thank you to staff for getting us the packet for the next hearing early, so we can go through that. And with that, this meeting is adjourned at 7:06 p.m. Thank you very much.